Of all the foods that have ever existed on this planet, chocolate may be the most extraordinary. It began as a sacred drink of the gods. It was used as currency, as medicine, as a weapon of war, and for nearly 100 years. 100 years, the most powerful empire on Earth kept it a secret from the rest of the world. This is how chocolate conquered everything. The story begins not in a chocolate shop in Brussels, not in a Swiss mountain factory, not in a British confectionery. It begins in the rainforests of what is now southern Mexico and Central America, more than 3,000 years ago. The Olmec civilization, one of the oldest in the Americas, were the first people we know of to cultivate the cacao tree. They harvested its pods, fermented the beans, The Maya who followed them elevated cacao to something almost holy. They called it xocolatl, a word that meant bitter water. Their texts, their temples, their rituals. Cacao appears in all of them. In Maya creation mythology, humans were made from cacao, not from clay, not from stone. From cacao. If you have ever reached for chocolate in a moment of comfort, perhaps that instinct is older than you think. By the time the Aztec Empire rose to dominance in the 14th century, cacao had become something else entirely. It was currency. Aztec merchants used cacao beans as coins. A turkey cost 100 beans. A rabbit cost 30. The labor of a porter for a day. 8 beans. Think about that. The money in your pocket was once something you could eat. And at the very top of Aztec society, cacao was consumed as a privilege reserved for the elite. Emperor Moctezuma II was said to drink 50 cups of xocolatl every single day. Not sweetened, not milky, bitter, spiced, mixed with chili and cornmeal. Served cold and frothed. Nothing like anything you would recognize as chocolate today, and yet it was the same thing.
For centuries, this sacred bean was the currency of gods, a divine tribute. Little did they know, their entire world.
In the year 1519, the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés landed on the coast of Mexico. He came looking for gold. He found an empire. And among the extraordinary things he witnessed at the court of Moctezuma was the ritual consumption of xocolatl. I've always wondered about this. What's the most surprising food origin story you've ever heard? Let me know in the comments.
Hernán Cortés met Moctezuma. He was offered a sacred beverage of pure cacao.
Cortés was not immediately impressed. He found the drink bitter and strange. But he was a practical man, and he understood something important. Whatever the Aztecs valued, Spain could use. When Cortés returned to Spain in 1528, he brought cacao beans with him.
Good heavens, what is this strange fruit?
They say the Emperor Moctezuma drinks it.
Along with the knowledge of how to prepare them. And then Spain did something remarkable. They kept it secret. For nearly 100 years, chocolate, consumed now with sugar, vanilla, and cinnamon to mask the bitterness, was a privilege of the Spanish court. Spanish monks were sworn to secrecy. Spanish merchants were forbidden from trading it beyond the kingdom's borders, while the rest of Europe went about its daily life, building cathedrals, fighting wars, discovering continents. The Spanish aristocracy was quietly drinking the most extraordinary beverage in the world, and telling nobody.
For centuries, Spain held a secret. Locked behind palace walls, a treasure hidden by monks, the greatest culinary secret.
Telling nobody. The secret broke in 1615, when the Spanish Princess Anne of Austria married the French King Louis XIII. She brought something with her to the French court beyond her jewels and her dowry.
The Spanish princess brings with her a fortune in cacao, they say.
What an extraordinary aroma.
I have never seen anything like it.
Within a decade, chocolate had spread through the French aristocracy like a rumor that could not be contained. By the 1630s, it had reached Italy. By the 1640s, England. In 1657, the first chocolate house opened in London on Queen's Head Alley. It advertised chocolate as an excellent West India drink that could cure virtually every ailment known to medicine.
This West India drink will restore your humours. It is a most excellent medical remedy.
They were not entirely wrong. Cacao contains theobromine, a compound that genuinely improves mood and increases energy. The Aztecs had understood this for 2,000 years. Europeans were just catching up. But here is where chocolate's story truly accelerates. The Aztec xocolatl was cold, bitter, and spiced with chili. The Spanish version was warm and sweetened. But the European transformation went further still. Dairy was added, then more sugar, then new spices. Each country and culture adapted chocolate to its own tastes, its own ingredients, its own obsessions. The French made it elegant, the English made it democratic. The Dutch made it something else entirely. In 1828, a Dutch chemist named Coenraad van Houten invented the hydraulic cocoa press, a machine that separated cocoa butter from cocoa solids. For the first time, powdered chocolate could be produced cheaply and consistently. The drinking of chocolate had been the privilege of the wealthy. The eating of chocolate, solid, affordable, portable, was about to become something the entire world could share. In 1847, a British company called J.S. Fry & Sons produced the world's first solid chocolate bar. They mixed cocoa powder with cocoa butter and sugar, poured it into a mold, and let it set. The chocolate bar, one of the most consumed objects in human history, invented 179 years ago in Bristol, England. Within decades, the great chocolate empires were rising. Cadbury, Nestlé, Lindt, Rowntree, Hershey. Each one building not just a product, but a mythology. Connecting chocolate to love, to comfort, to childhood, to celebration. By the time the 20th century arrived, chocolate had completed its extraordinary journey. From the sacred forests of Mesoamerica, through the secret courts of Spain, across the coffee houses of Europe, into the factories of the Industrial Revolution, and onto the kitchen table of every family on Earth. Today, the global chocolate industry is worth $270 billion annually. The average Swiss person eats 10 kilograms of chocolate per year. The average American, 5 kilograms. Humans eat approximately 7 million metric tons of chocolate every single year. Every year, Emperor Moctezuma would be astonished, and perhaps, just perhaps, a little proud. But before we leave this story, there is something we must acknowledge. The chocolate in your hand was almost certainly grown in West Africa, where the industry has long struggled with poverty, inequality, and in some cases, the use of child labor in cacao farming. The people who gave the world chocolate, the Olmec, the Maya, the Aztec, did not profit from its global conquest. And the people who grow it today are often the least rewarded in the entire supply chain. The most beloved food on earth has an uncomfortable history and an uncomfortable present. The next time you eat a piece of chocolate, it is worth knowing that 3,000 years ago, in a rainforest that no longer exists, someone opened a cacao pod for the first time. They tasted it, they fermented it, they decided it was sacred. They were right. Chocolate is the proof that the most extraordinary things often begin with a single, unlikely discovery. In a jungle, by people whose names we will never know, and end up in the hands of everyone. Every piece of chocolate you have ever eaten carries that journey inside it. Taste it differently now.